Okay, hi everyone. Welcome again to a press conference reaction. Of course, Chiefs played Polokwane City this weekend and won 1-0 in people are saying it's a better match, but to be honest with you, I don't think so. But let's hear what Coach Kevin Johnson had to say. If you do want to watch the video on your own without my reaction, it is available on Lim Sports Zone on YouTube. So let's hear what Coach Kevin Johnson had to say about the game that his team played versus Polokwane City.
Maybe Coach can give us a reflection of the game.
Yeah, guys, I thought it was a difficult game. Last week we played a better game against Swallows. We were able to push the ball around because Swallows is like that as well. They're not losing their identity, but today we played against a team that gives you a hard time. They play on the second ball, they play the long ball, and they run. And us coming from Johannesburg, sometimes the Polokwane heat is a little bit different. But like I say, we didn't play our best football, but we were able to identify that yes, we can play or we can win against this type of opposition. And when you do that, then everybody's happy because at the end of the day, we get the 3 points, we go back home, and we can take the game and we can analyze it and we can identify the moments within the game where I think we could have been better. For example, I thought there were times when we could have killed the game, when our centre backs and our left backs and our right backs had the ball, where we could have played better coming out. But we always looked like we wanted to play the through ball, which was far too early, because they win the ball and they pump it up front and they came at us again. Second half, yes, we had to defend a lot.
Before we go too far, I just want to stick on that one point that he made there, that he played a better game versus Swallows. And I think he played a better game versus Swallows because Swallows was careless with the ball. He played a better game versus Swallows because Swallows wants to build this identity that has mistakes. So now he's come against a team that doesn't care for identity. They're trying to get the results and they're trying to frustrate you, and that's where I think we need to draw the line between this modern what football, and now he's telling you that I had a harder time versus Polokwane City because they don't do these philosophy things. So you read into it how you will, whether that's a positive or negative, but let's carry on with this.
We had to do a lot of defending, but did they have any clear-cut chances against Bruce? I don't think so. I think in the first half they had two very, very good chances, but Bruce is paid to be the goalkeeper. He's paid to save the goals, and he did that. But credit has to go to Modi, who scored his second goal like that. So I give him credit for that.
I like that he mentioned that. I think Modi in Kaizer Chiefs, we're not quite sure how to play him yet, and I think some coaches want to play him as a winger, like an out-and-out winger. But I think him coming inside to free up his right foot, him coming inside and playing combinations with somebody, maybe Ngobo, but also initially the first goal that he scored like this was with Tanzani. I think that's what he needs to do more of, especially if you have a team in Kaizer Chiefs that is playing two left backs. We played Santi and Dove at the same time. So you could say that Santi could play a pure wing or sort of a left wing back type role, similar to maybe what Umdao does. Then you could have Umtetwa drop into the defense with Simango and push Utove wide, right? Then you still have some sort of back four when you need to defend. But I do think that Umodi needs to be allowed to come inside and play combinations with whoever is the left-hand side progressed midfielder. So if it's Ngobo must play with him. If Mtanzane must play with him. I think that's where we'll see more goals. So it's a good sign that coach has realized that this is the second time that he's doing this. You could argue that it's the third because his goal where Upotsane played it back to him was also something similar. But I think that's where Modi's strengths need to lie. In terms of how the game panned out, in the first half, Polokwane was very aggressive. They did get two very good chances. But in the second half, I don't know if it's a PSL tendency. I don't know if they're tired. I don't know if it was the heat at Polokwane, but they didn't look as effective as they did in the first half. And he is correct in saying that even after we'd scored the goal, they didn't really trouble us after that. And maybe that's something that we need to question about fitness coach about whether players can last a full 90 minutes, But let's carry on.
Coach, but the second successive clean sheet also should be a confidence booster along with the second successive win.
Yeah, in some moments, yes. I think we get in there. But like I say, if it was the same win like we did against Swallows, then we can say we're building on the type of play we have or the type of play we want to have going forward. But when you have to play against a team like this, it's a whole new perspective. We have to also go back home and say, how do we play against a team that plays like this? Because there could be one or two other teams that play similar, play the long ball and play on the second ball. So we need to be able to do that. But we also need to make sure that we're able to keep on stitching the Kaizer Chiefs cloth.
I like his honesty. I like his honesty there. I like that he also realizes that this wasn't a building game. A lot of Chiefs fans have come out and said, we played such great football, we're looking better, we're doing things better. But here's coach also saying that, yeah, guys, there's going to be building games and there's going to be winning games where we have to grind and get a result. And I think he also realizes that a lot of what we tried to do didn't work that much. I think we had a lot of the ball. I think we played the ball a lot better, but the question then becomes, did we play it in the more dangerous areas, or did we just keep it around Abotove? Did we just keep it around Abongobo falling back to give it back to Dove? Like it's those type of things. So I'm actually glad that coach saw it, and that he realizes that you can want all of the football, the beautiful football you want. We spoke about this last week. You can want all of the beautiful football and all of the progression, but sometimes you'll come against teams that are not going to allow you to do that. And you need a grittier plan B, which I guess with the win, you could say that they executed, but it didn't look as great, especially in the attack, as it could have looked.
The fans out there very happy. I saw you there. You were also showing them that they must also cheer the boys.
Yeah, well, that's what we always want. We always want them to cheer our boys, win or lose, because we are trying our best. It's not like we sitting back at the village and twiddling our thumbs. We know they come out in numbers. We know they pay their money, their hard work money, and we want to inform them that we also do a lot of hard work. And sometimes football can be cruel to both sides. So we have to accept a loss sometimes, and we have to accept the wins that comes with being a Kaizer Chiefs fan, or a Kaizer Chiefs employee, or a Kaizer Chiefs football player.
I like that he mentioned that. I like that he mentioned that because for a very long time, it's been feeling as though us fans of Chiefs, it's almost like we are just there to buy the product. We're just there to buy kits and buy all of those things. It's refreshing to hear somebody come out and say that, we acknowledge that the fans give a lot. We acknowledge that the fans spend their hard-earned monies, and it should be a pressure. It should be something that Kaizer Chiefs understands. For many years, we've been told off that we're not as important as we think we are. And whether it's true or false, I think it's really nice to hear somebody, actually give fans some slack. And it's also very nice to have 6 points, to celebrate the wins. Give us the wins, because for a very long time at Kaizer Chiefs, there hasn't been that much to celebrate. If we're being 100% honest, there have been flashes, but for the most part, it's been a very tough 8 years. So it's nice to hear somebody who's inside the team not blame fans, not say that we're the problem, not talk about bedouin, zabalas, and all of those things, and just acknowledge that, guys, fans deserve better too,
How difficult or how easy was it to get everybody to be focused for today's match on the pitch, following everything that happened with Itu last week? The announcement that he will be on his own.
I think that is That is something that has to be big credited to the management of this team. And that doesn't mean Cavin Johnson. It means Jessica, it means Kaizer, it means Kimiso, it means Gerald, it means Bobby, it means Vina. All of us put together how the club inside the village is able to control that type of news, because we all know Itu is a big part of this team, but in the end we're able to calm the players and make sure that they realize what is happening. And all of us are not perfect. That's the one thing we have to know. Whatever happens to some of our players, or whatever happens to some of the players outside, whatever happens to players after they play, we're all not perfect. And things happen like this, and we're just grateful that you work for an organization like Kaizer Chiefs, and they're able to say, you know what, we will help you. So that is what I am grateful for, is that the club statement says, we are going to help you. I told you once before, this club is run by a man that should be walking with presidents.
The Itumeleng situation for me, I'm not against the punishment, especially if it is true that he did what he did. My issue is for a club that has spoken so much about fans and how fans treat player or coaches, and lives were at risk and all of that stuff. I feel as though they left him out to dry a little bit, and I feel as though things like this shouldn't get out, because it was only really when Jessica came out to soften the thing a little bit that it made sense. But it started as a rumor. There were a lot of murmurings, and then all of a sudden a statement comes out that says he's being stripped of his captaincy, he's been separated from the team. That can lead to fans reacting to him personally in a less than great way. And I think they saw that and had to then come out through Abu Jessica, and even now with the coach coming out and speaking about this, where they're going to add on that we're going to help him, add on that, you know, they're driving home the point that we're going to be there for him. But in a perfect world, it remains a rumor that we don't know. I don't think Kune going missing on the bench is something that would have posed a lot of questions, to be honest with you. He played one game under Atazwane, so I don't think a lot of people would be asking a lot about where's Kune, why isn't he playing, all of that stuff. So I think they could have kept it under wraps. And I think there's a lot of things that happen at Kaizer Chiefs that are kept under wraps. Why this came out, I don't wanna go into conspiracy theories, but I do think he could have been protected just a little bit more in terms of these rumors that are coming out, you know, especially when nothing concrete had come out of the club per se. You get what I mean? There's other players like Umtansani. There's rumors swirling around him. No statements came out. I think they're protecting him. I think he might just make it to the team some other time if there's an issue, if it's real. The fact that we're still saying if, I think, is a great protection to the players. So maybe we should have done something similar to that.
Two wins on the trot, coach. Is it a sign of things gradually coming together?
I think we're just doing a good job. When it's 15 wins, then we talk again.
Coach, can I ask about Ranga? Obviously, his role that played today was very good, but when he came off, seemed frustrated. Obviously, as a striker, he wants to score. What do you say to him to keep, doing things right?
Mazol, you know, I have to go back and make sure his head is clean, because you know what strikers are like. Strikers are like goalkeepers. They are mad. Sometimes they are mad. They want to score goals because that's what fuels their football body when they score goals. And yes, I think he should have scored one. He had a nice chance. He made it himself. He put it on his left foot. I thought if he just was a little bit calmer, the right side of the goal was open, but he tried to take a snapshot. If he just pushed it in, it would have been a goal. But not to be today. And yes, he does come from an area where he scored, I think, 12 or 13 goals in the season. So all that stuff, as far as the striker is concerned, normally plays on your mind. But the big thing that he has to realize is that he's not playing for Marumo Gallants anymore or for AJ United. He's playing for Kaizer Chiefs. And that comes with so much pressure. Besides being a good player, besides being a good person, that comes with a lot of times, because every game you play, whatever centre back you're playing against is not going to play at 50%. He's going to play at 150%. So you have to up your game to 200%. And that's the difference.
I think Ranga is played out of position. I've said this a lot of times. Not necessarily played out of position, but they don't play his football. I think Ranga running on the wing, Ranga dropping back, Ranga doing all of this work. I think his frustration comes from he's working, he's running, he's moving, he's doing all of these things, he's holding up, he's bringing players into play, but he's not getting a chance to get the ball in the areas that he's most dangerous at, in the areas that he's shown, even at Marumo Gallants, that he's strong at. And I think that will play on a striker's mind, that you work so hard throughout the game, thinking that maybe you'll get a chance somewhere. And when you get taken off, it's shocking. And it's also shocking because if you notice what Chiefs does, the moment that Ranga comes off the pitch, they start crossing. They start playing early balls in. They start doing all the things that made Ranga such an incredible striker at Marumo Gallants. 17 goals, all competitions last year. He hasn't been afforded a chance to play his football. And you can understand, man, a little bit that he may be frustrated. The other thing that coach Kevin Johnson says every week, calmer. You wish that the players were a little bit calmer. You wish that the players take their time, take their opportunities, see the gaps, you know. And I think that's not a PSL issue. That's not a team issue. It's a PSL issue. It's not a Chiefs issue. It's not isolated to one team. And you see that a lot in the PSL. I also like the fact that he mentioned that you're no longer playing for Marumo Gallants, because I think part of coaching, playing, administrating at Kaizer Chiefs is that at the end of the day, everything you do will be looked at under a microscope. And it might not even be negative, you know. At Marumo Gallants, you can have a bad game and nobody will necessarily go hard. But at Chiefs, if you have a bad game or a bad moment, I can only imagine what type of notifications they get on their phones. You know, even if it's just fans saying, Ranga should have done better there. Can you imagine 100,000 people tweeting you that? You know, and then that's one moment. And then they treat it the other moment. And then you guys lose and people are dissecting. You know, people like me are dissecting what you do when there's 100,000 of us, 1 million of us who have feelings about this. I think that's also something you take into consideration, especially with your reactions more than anything. I think the reactions part was where I think what he's saying comes into play. Because had he just walked off the pitch, nobody's asking this question at the end of the game. But because he looked a little frustrated, now it's a talking point. Now your coach has to speak to it. Now pundits speak to it. Now social media people speak to it. So I think you need to understand, you know, Unjabulo had that tiff with Lee Baxter, was it 2 years ago, and never made it back, you know, and was scrutinized from that day on, you know. I can only imagine what Mart goes through, but there's a certain level of grace, there's a certain level of pride that you have to handle these things with, and I think coach does very well at that, to be honest with him. But the players maybe just need to learn that you can be frustrated, but frustrated outside becomes a whole bunch of things. Just like I spoke about the Itumeleng Kune situation where a statement came out. A statement becomes a completely different beast when you're at a big team. So I like that the coach mentioned that.
Speaking of strikers, will we see Ashley before the end of the year?
I pray, guys. I pray that we see him before the end of the year. He's almost there, I know. I'm sure some of you guys saw him with us today, but he was doing the social work, social responsibility from the team. So it's not we brought him with to show you that he's ready. No, he's about 2 weeks off.
Coach, do you have any idea what was happening with Vuma there? he didn't get a yellow card for what the referee claimed to be time-wasting tactics.
Bruce,
Yeah.
mina hayazi mfowethu. Mina hayazi. Thanks, guys.
I still say, and I will give him credit for this. I'll give him credit for this. No one handles a press conference just like Kevin Johnson. When he doesn't want to be brought into a situation, he will look you in the eye and he will say something random, and you'll get the idea that I don't want to speak about this. I love him for that. Like, how I feel about Hugo Bruce and how he deals with the media, and how I feel like it fuels a lot of the flame, right? There's a lot of things that Kevin Johnson could have said in this situation, especially there with the Bruce Vuma situation, but he chose to just go, he didn't even say angazi, ayazi, right? Ayazi, guys, and it ended, right? So these guys don't leave with a quote from the coach saying something crazy or a headline that they can use that can spark fans. I love the way he handles press conferences. And this is what I mean when I say coaches sometimes, you don't dance because you don't have an opinion. I'm sure he has an opinion on what Bruce did. I'm sure he might even have something that he told Bruce. But he was like, you know what? I'm not gonna give them anything here. So kudos to the coach, and thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I think the match was a toughish match. The match we weren't very fluid. We weren't very connected. We had a lot of the possession, but if you look at what we were doing and the play that we were playing, it was at the back a lot. We had some players that stood up. Bruce put up his hand. Umthetwa, I think, put up his hand in this game. And of course, Umbodi scored the goal. So I think 3 points is 3 points, 6 points on the run. There's not too much complaining that I want to do, because at the end of the day, you need the results. And if the results are coming, then there's no need to go too hard on the team as to what they were doing. Let coach stack up these points and get pressure off of his back. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you do want to watch the video, and also please show some love to Lim Sports Zone on YouTube. They are the ones that have done the hard work to bring us these things so that we can speak to the coaches. It's very hard to get press conferences in SA where we get to hear our coaches and know what they're thinking. So thank you to Lim Sports Zone for doing this work. I'll see you guys in the next one.